The latest AP Top 25 poll is out in college football, and Texas is #1 in the preseason poll for the very first time. Longhorns edged out Penn State by 5 points in the closest preseason vote since 1998. There are 10 SEC teams ranked. Texas faces a major test to open the season, taking on third-ranked Ohio State. It's a rematch of last season's CFP semi, in which the Buckeyes won 28-14 at the Cotton Bowl. 2.5-point favorites for those at the shoe as we take a look at the Week 1 slate. A couple of good ones that we have in terms of ranked teams and a couple of ranked-on-ranked matchups. But again, getting back to Texas and Ohio State, here's Buckeyes head coach Ryan Day talking about his quarterback situation as the Buckeyes will feature their third new starter in as many years.
Yeah, actually, I remember kind of, with Dwayne and Joe, it was similar, just in terms of, the skill sets and their makeups. And so, it's interesting to see, those two guys compete with each other.
All right, we got one half of the Cover 3, which, by the way, you guys were there for the semifinal to see it all unfold out there at the Cotton. Danny, I'm going to start with you because we're kind of framing it from a Ohio State quarterback perspective. Who's the clubhouse leader for you, and what are you anticipating in this Week 1 game?
I am still anticipating Julian Sayin, but Ryan Day has been making some comments that are making me wonder if they're having some doubts or if this competition is truly going down to the wire. I mean, that's what Ryan Day said last week between Julian Sayin and Lincoln Kienholz. And really, ideally, you'd want to see somebody jump to the forefront and start taking this thing by the reins so you can name a starter a week before the game to get everybody on the same page so that they know who their guy is going to be. But if somebody isn't separating, that's a little bit of a cause for concern. Reading through the tea leaves and kind of reading through his comments, we need more consistency. I think this is really trying to light a fire under Julian Sayin. I think it was his job to lose, but I wouldn't be surprised if you potentially see both quarterbacks. Lincoln Kienholz could potentially come in situationally. They did it with Devin Brown in the last couple of years that he's been sitting on the bench behind the quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see both, and it does give you a little bit of a competitive edge when Texas doesn't know who is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, the gamesmanship here, I think, is absolutely a factor in them not naming a starter. They have two different skill sets. There's two different things to prepare for. It's also a new offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly being gone. It's also a ton of talent like Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Emeka Buka, all gone. So just trying to have as many question marks as possible for a Texas defense that does have a lot of continuity on that side. I understand it, but I'm going to shout out Devin Brown one more time because Ryan Day did this with Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. He said it was a battle all the way until Week 1, and sure enough, Kyle McCord was the QB1 the whole way. I would not be surprised if we have something similar here. Okay, 1v3 to open up the season. How about another ranked matchup, a Tiger Bowl, if you would, LSU and Clemson. And Chip, you and I were on together when the Garrett Nussmeier injury news came out. Doesn't look like it's all too concerning here, but just take me again through the machinations of what you view this matchup. I think that this matchup is really going to be about whether or not this Clemson defense is going to live up to its talent. Because as Dabo Swinney has said himself, there might be a lot of projected NFL draft picks on that defense, but that defense allowed 300 yards to the Citadel. That defense could not get off the field against South Carolina. That defense had a lot of trouble stopping SMU as the Mustangs stormed back in the ACC championship game. And so whether it's TJ Parker, Peter Woods, go to the second level where you've got players like Sammy Brown or Avion Terrell on the back end, are they going to live up to that talent? Because that quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, as long as he is even 75%, he is dangerous enough to carve up about any defense in the country. Clemson is #4 in the AP Top 25 poll. That means you are a national title contender. And if Clemson's going to win a national championship, they need that defense to be able to step up. I feel confident in Cade Klubnik and him continuing his development, but that defense against Nuss, that is the battle I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, that's a great battle. And you mentioned all the talented names on the defensive side of the ball, and I know you know this, but they also have a new defensive coordinator in Tom Allen, who is one of the top defensive coordinators in the country to kind of help that defense and put them in the right position. This is going to be a bloodbath. Like, this is going to be a physical game that is going to be a battle of wills in the trenches. Something's got to give, too, in this one, because last year, Clemson was 0 for 3 against SEC opponents. Brian Kelly, meanwhile, in openers is 0 for in his career at LSU. Both of them I know have talked about those deficiencies and wanting to kind of get out of those skunk situations. So this is going to be really fascinating and a rare matchup where we know exactly who the two quarterbacks are going to be because they've both been there. Cade Klubnik's been there for multi-years, so you feel pretty comfortable about what you're going to get offensively. So whatever defense steps up and makes the bigger stops, I think is going to be the team that prevails.
Yeah, you guys bring up great storyline trends, and I'm glad we're going to get this here week one. And also it tells us that week one is fast approaching, and our college football pregame show returns, and they're also going on the road. There's DK on the far right, Damian Harris, Brian McFadden, and Emily Proud, live from Tallahassee. So I told you, DK, that Damian Harris was saying some things about Doak, by the way, and I'm excited to have him come and hang out with you guys pregame for this Bama FSU match.
Oh, I cannot wait to be there outside Doak Campbell. Damian, you know he's going to be talking all kind of smack. He is not afraid. He'll do it right to the Florida State fans' faces. The thing that's starting to concern me is that line, which at one time was like 7.5. It is almost at 2 touchdowns. And I'm also not hearing great things about Florida State at practice. Their defensive coordinators calling out guys saying they need to get off their butts and start getting a little bit tougher. Meanwhile, you've got an angry Alabama squad that already has been a little bit irritated by Thomas Castellano's comments this offseason. But more importantly, they want to erase the taste in your mouth from a 9-3 season last year in a bowl loss. It was ugly. So this one, my Florida State Seminoles, they could be in a pretty tough spot there at home. They're going to need that home crowd to step up for them.
Yeah, DK, on the other side, the reports out of Alabama are exquisite. I understand that there's some panic on those Florida State reports, but I'm hearing about quarterbacks that are taking care of the football, not throwing interceptions, an offensive line that looks absolutely freaky, a defense that is old, big, and experienced. I just think that this Crimson Tide team, they're not underrated necessarily because they're one of the top 3 teams in the odds to win the SEC. So, Tommy, see if you can rock with me on this one. They're under-discussed. We are not spending enough time talking about Alabama like a legitimate contender to win the SEC or a legitimate contender to win the national championship because I think they've got that kind of roster. We still need to find out the quarterback position. We still need to see that quarterback get it done against Florida State's defense. But, man, the buzz is really, really good. And I kind of think that my Alabama to win the SEC play, I'm feeling more emboldened by the day.
Okay. Scary thought to have Alabama fly under the radar. By the way, given everything that we've had, of course, whether it's Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer, we know that they are certainly a force to be reckoned with. Okay, so we saw the AP top 25 poll out. We're talking about best teams in the country. You know, we kind of listed it out there. And so they're sort of like the flag bearers, if you will, like SC in California. So if we were down here in Florida, it's Miami coming in at number 10, a ranked matchup with Notre Dame. Road favorites, though, are the Fighting Irish at 2.5. Chip, what are we thinking about Miami this season and specifically their matchup with Notre Dame?
I think Miami's got a chance to record an absolutely massive win. You're going to be dealing with a first-time starting quarterback for Notre Dame, and we don't know whether that's going to be C.J. Carr or Kenny Minchie, but in either case, it's been more than a decade since we've had a Notre Dame quarterback have to go into a season with this little game experience, and that quarterback's going to be going behind a retooled offensive line with Ruben Bain and the rest of that Miami defensive front ready to go, new defensive coordinator as well. I'm not overly impressed by the way that this Miami offense is shaping up if you are asking it to be the Cam Ward #1 in the country Miami offense. But can Carson Beck be able to lead the group that does a good job running the football, physical up front, and then a defense that takes some steps forward? I just think the uncertainty around the Fighting Irish might leave Miami an opportunity where they might not beat that same Notre Dame team in week 9, but they ain't playing them in week 9. They're playing them in week 1. We'll see if they can take advantage of the new starter.
Take the under. Take the under. This game is going to be lower scoring. Jeremiah Love, one of the better running backs in the country. He is returning for Notre Dame. I think they're going to try to protect their quarterbacks. Miami's defense could be pretty tough. And I don't know who Carson Beck is throwing the ball to, so I don't know if Miami's going to be lighting up the scoreboard either. So I think it's a lower scoring affair, but it's going to be a fun one, too.
Danny already throwing out the play. Under 50.5. Guys certainly appreciate it. By the way, big day for the company. I learned that Dana White might be at that Miami game because his daughter now goes to the U. College football.
Couldn't get into Florida State, Tommy. That's what happened.
Oh, man. Danny back on the road, back in studio with this crew. We're looking forward to another fun college football season. And, of course, the Cover 3, our two guys that we just talked about here, Bud Elliott and Tom Fornelli. Scan the QR code. Make sure to check out the fellas and check them also on YouTube.